Hey, it's Kim and welcome back. Today I wanted to make another addition to my artist showcase series. I wanted to talk about Ken Sugimori. He was one of the most requested artists every time I've asked you guys for suggestions, and the reason I've been a little bit delayed in doing this is because he has created so much artwork for the Pokemon TCG. He created over 1,000 original artworks for TCG cards, and he's been illustrating for Pokemon since base set. So his contribution to the Pokemon artwork world has been absolutely immense. I wanted to sift through and pick out some of my favorites and talk about why I love some of his artworks so much. And I'm going to preface this video with an apology. If I've missed one of your favorite Ken Sugimori artworks, I am so sorry. Please leave a comment down below to let us know what your favorites are so everyone can go check that one out as well. If you enjoy Pokemon, if you like art and you like talking about the artwork of the TCG, please leave this one a like and subscribe. It helps out way more than you realize, and I really appreciate your support. Without further ado, let's get into it. I wanted to divide this video into trainer cards, Pokemon cards, and then additional artworks that Ken has done for Pokemon. The first trainer card I wanted to talk about was Team Rocket's admin that was originally done for EX Team Rocket Returns. They reprinted this card for celebrations, and I'm so glad that they did. It's not only playable, but the artwork is super cool. I think that the interaction between the trainer and the Persian is really beautiful. You can see that they're villains and that they're a bit sly, but also you can see that they have such a unique and beautiful bond and connection between them. I also really love the lighting technique that he used in this card. I think it looks like they're just chilling in their Team Rocket lair, and there's maybe a door open or a screen in front of them that's just illuminating their faces partially. She almost looks like she's teasing the Persian or telling him what's going to happen next, and I think it is a super cool artwork, and I'm really happy to have this card in my collection. Misty's Tears for Gym Challenge is another one of my more vintage favorites. I think this one again shows such a beautiful bond and interaction between the trainer and her Pokemon. You can see how expressive Misty's face is. She does look pretty sad and devastated, and the level of concern you can see on Squirtle is absolutely gorgeous. I think this is a really simple artwork. I love how zoomed in we are, so it feels really intimate, and it just conveys everything that it needs to. He's done an excellent job with this one. Now, in searching for some artworks to talk about, I found a card I don't actually have in my collection, but I'm going to need to pick one up. This one is called Mr. Stone's Project from EX Hollow Phantoms, and I think it is such a cool piece. You can see Mr. Stone sitting in the foreground. You've got Karen presenting something to him. My favorite thing about this piece though is the Raichu that's just sitting next to the desk. I think it's one of those interactions that it's almost like being a kid again. You can see the adults talking about something and Raichu's just kind of like squatted in the corner looking up, a little bit quizzical but also wanting to be part of it. I think it's just a really gorgeous piece. I'm not quite sure what the brief would have been for this one, but whatever it is, he's executed it really well, because I think this is a situation that we've all probably been in or witnessed in some way, and it needs to go in my Raichu binder. Erica's Kindness for Gym Challenge is another one of my vintage Ken Sugimori favorites. I think it's another one of those gorgeous pieces that shows a really lovely interaction between a trainer and a Pokemon. You've got Erica just covering Growlithe with her umbrella. He looks quite appreciative and also not quite sure what to expect from her, probably because she's a grass type trainer, but they both just need to get out of the rain. I think the color scheme in this one is really nice. It's really bold, and the outlines on his older cards, I guess, are much stronger than some of the newer artworks that we'll talk about. I do like these more vintage pieces from him though. I think it is really lovely to just highlight the Pokemon or the trainer in the foreground and not have lots of detail or anything in the background that kind of detracts from that interaction. And the last kind of vintage one that I'm going to talk about is Pokemon Fan Club. This was from Pop Series 4. Again, this is another card that I do not yet have in my collection, but from doing this search to see some of Ken's artworks, it's one that I'm going to need to add to my binder. You can see these young trainers in the foreground. They're just a Pokemon fan club and they're fantasizing, I think, about what their favorite Pokemon are. So we've got little dream bubbles about Mew, Plusle, and Minun, and a little Pikachu. I think it is just so sweet and exciting. I think this is one of those cards that would be absolutely adorable, even blown up as like a poster or a postcard, because it's such a sweet and kind of detailed artwork. This is one of his later trainer cards, and you can see that we're getting a bit more detail in this one, and that's going to be something that you'll see in some of his newer artworks that he's done for the TCG. I guess just thinking about the amount of technology and things that we've got access to, it is really exciting to see what else these artists can do. I've only got two sort of newer age trainer cards from Ken that I wanted to talk about today, and they are two of my absolute favorites. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. He did a Mina artwork for Sun and Moon Lost Thunder, which I think is really lovely. Mina's one of my favorite trainers because she's an artist, and I can like sort of relate to that because I try to make art. But one of the things I love about this card, you can see Mina sort of in her studio, but I really love to look at the light streaming through the window. I think that was executed really well in this artwork, and it just makes it really beautiful and special. It gives it a lot of depth and substance, and I guess just gives her this environment that you can sort of see what she's like and what she's surrounded by, which is really, really beautiful. The other one I wanted to speak about was Mallow for Sun and Moon Guardians Rising. I think the thing I wanted to say about this one mostly was, first of all, green is my favorite color. I love how lush and green and vibrant the background behind her is. It matches her hair. It's absolutely stunning. You can see the light streaming through the trees, which again, I think is absolutely gorgeous. You can also see just the level of excitement and enthusiasm on her face. She looks like she's about halfway through a sentence, maybe trying to tell someone a new exciting idea, or share something that she thought was really fun. So I think that the level of emotion he's been able to convey on his trainer cards is really, really beautiful. And it's no surprise that he's been illustrating for the TCG for such a long time. All right, the next thing I wanted to have a chat about was some of my favorite Pokemon, KenSugimori Pokemon cards. I've got some from my vintage collection I wanted to highlight and have a bit of a chat about. I think one of my favorite things about Ken's artworks, especially his older ones, is that he didn't put a lot of detail into the background. I don't think that in the printing back then they would have had capacity to do a lot of that anyway, but I think it highlights the Pokemon in this really lovely way. Base set Chansey is one that you cannot look past. I think that Chansey is one of the cutest Pokemon. I love the expression on her little face. She kind of looks like she's plotting a little bit. Super sweet artwork. I love how much they've reprinted it. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I have a few different versions of that card and I absolutely adore it. I also wanted to talk about the Shining Tyranitar for Neo Destiny. That is one of the most beautiful Shining cards in my humble opinion. I think that the way that Tyranitar is posed is just absolutely epic. It looks like he's sort of opening up to the universe, perhaps doing a roar, perhaps, I guess, having some kind of revelation. I'm not sure. It seems really emotive. It's really interesting. And seeing it printed and seeing it in person is just super cool. So I love that artwork by Ken. A couple more holographic sort of OG Pokemon cards would have to be the Mew for XY Evolutions. You've got Mew just kind of lounging on a rock, and I think one of the most special things about this card is, first of all, it's a holo. You've got a really nice background to it with the rock and the leaves, but I love the lighting on this one. It kind of looks like Mew is hiding out in a cave, and you've got the reflection of like some water surrounding him. He looks really kind of sheepish and a little bit scared perhaps, but I think it's a really beautiful piece and just conveys some different emotions, which I quite like. Given Mew is often depicted as being like super playful and really cheeky, I think it's kind of nice to see him in a different light. Another one of my vintage KenSugimori favorites is the promo card of Charizard that he did during the XY era. This was a CD promo. It's actually a card that I altered not too long ago if you want to have a look at the painting that I did to try to extend this one. But I just love the expression and the emotion that he's put into this Charizard. You've got this really bold outline that I guess is one of Ken's calling cards, but you can see Charizard kind of gazing off into the distance. He looks really determined, and it just sparks my imagination to wonder what might be going on around him and what is he looking at. Last sort of vintage Ken Sugimori card, I've just got to talk about the Pikachu for the movie promos. I love the movie promo set. I think it's really fun, and the Pikachu is by far my favorite artwork for that set. I love this Pikachu and how he's just like a little bean. He's so cute, and his little stumpy legs don't look like they would get him very far at all, but he's doing a big jump and he is so adorable. It makes me really happy every time I look at it, and I've seen that particular artwork used for so many different things and repurposed for different things online, and it just makes me smile every time I see it. I think he absolutely nailed that card. The last Pokemon card I want to talk about, again, this is actually one I don't have in my collection, but I'm gonna need to locate. This is a Jigglypuff that he did for Sun and Moon Lost Thunder. It is really sweet. Again, it's a super simple artwork. You can just see Jigglypuff. There's not anything crazy detailed about it. I'm not exactly sure what's meant to be going on in this particular artwork, but I think it looks like Jigglypuff is on top of an ice cream sundae, and that is why I love it, and that's why I want it in my collection. It looks like there's like a big scoop of vanilla and then chocolate, and then Jigglypuff almost looks like a strawberry scoop on top. There's a little cherry in the foreground. Someone tell me I'm wrong. Like, I don't know what's actually meant to be happening, but I really think it's a Jigglypuff sundae, and I'm totally here for it. You may not realize that Ken actually illustrated a bunch of the Gigantamax Pokemon as well. So he did the illustration for Gigantamax Pikachu that was used in cards, but also for this sculpture. He illustrated the Gigantamax Butterfree, which I think is really beautiful. So those are some amazing contributions as well. If you would like to see some more artwork by Ken Sugimori, one thing I would really suggest that you check out is some of the scans of his original artworks for the Pokemon Company. So in April of 2023, there was a archiver called Lutube who got his hands on a bunch of the original drawings, 251 to be exact, and was able to rescan them using newer technology, a much higher quality scan that actually captured so much more detail in Ken's original artworks. So if you want to have a look at that, I'll link it all down below, but you can see that the amount of detail, the colors, it's so much more exciting to look at some of his original artworks through this new lens, and I guess it's really fun to see what we can do with new technology. So I'll link it down below if you want to see some more of Ken's artwork and be able to actually appreciate some of his contributions that were perhaps overlooked in some way just because we didn't have the technology to scan them properly. So those were a few of my favorite Ken Sugimori artworks for Pokemon. As I said, there is absolutely no way I can talk about all of his contributions and all of his artworks. Those are some of the things that I love about his artworks and a few of my favorites. If I've missed some of yours, I apologize, but please leave them in the comments so we can talk about it down below. Also, if you have a favorite Pokemon artist that you'd like me to talk about, let me know, because I will definitely be getting back into making some more of these videos moving forward. I enjoy them, and I think it's a really fun opportunity for us to celebrate some of the more common artworks that might get overlooked in the TCG, and I know that these artists have got to be working super hard on them, so it's really great to get to celebrate that as well. If you liked the video, please leave it a like. If you would like to see more from me, please subscribe. I make a new video every single week, and I would love to see you back here next time. Until then, please look after yourself. I'll see you soon. Bye.